Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Random Berto, host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We're going to have a great show for you today. The show started, believe it or not, got up this morning. I worked out till late. I didn't go to bed till about 3:30. At 2 o'clock, I went and started doing the treadmill. And after getting off of the treadmill for an hour and doing about a whole bunch of sit-ups, I still had about 15, 20 minutes left in me. So I said, let me go ahead and start thinking about the program. And, I thought about the program of what I'm going to talk about today. And it was going to be about, hey, Bruce Pallard, thank you very much for sharing. And yes, folks, like Bruce said, as anybody just starting to listen right now, por favor, please share immediately. Please share the program, whether you're listening to it on YouTube, whether you're listening to it on Twitch, whether you're listening to it on Periscope or on Facebook Live. Please make the first thing that you do to share it. That is how we're going to start making sure that all our people, we enlighten each other together. So anyhow, this morning I woke up, and as I woke up this morning, my wife was sitting down in the living room, and she started talking about things about the government, and she said, the way Trump is doing his things right now, he really allow people to sort of lose hope in government. And what I said is, no, the reality is, government's people. We can't allow for the likes of Donald Trump or all these guys to let people lose faith in government. After all, the idea behind getting folks to lose faith in government is a sinister idea. It's a sinister idea put out there by those for whom believe the government becomes obstructive to them. We cannot allow that to happen. We will not allow that to happen. And henceforth, shows like what we have right now. So folks, bear with us as we get into the program. As I go ahead and start up some of these threads here, we are going to be into the program rather quickly. Anyhow, how are you doing with your coronavirus isolation? Are you bored? Are you going crazy? Is your other half driving you crazy? Oh, don't say that. You may get yourself in trouble. But before we even get started, one of the things that I think all of us should be cognizant of, all of us should be ready to do, is to tell all those workers out there, the ones that many classify as, what do they call them? Essential workers. We owe a whole bunch of gratitude to those people. Folks, if you're just joining us, we just got another big queue in. Please do remember, we need you to share. If we don't start sharing these programs, we will continue to be disenfranchised by those who have other reasons to indoctrinate us. Anyhow, so to the firefighters, to our police persons, the ones that treat everybody with respect, to our grocery store workers, to our garbage people, to our street sweepers, to all these people out there. Personally, I want to give you a big thank you, a big sense of gratitude that we feel towards you. And I think everybody should. You are more important than any stockbroker. You are more important than any investment banker. Because remember, while they are working for themselves, really, you are working for us all. You give those of us who are able to work behind a computer and stay home. They're telling people who want to stay home, you can stay home, you can stay home. You guys are wonderful. Thank you. For those of you, some of you are going to be listening to this on podcast. We owe you so much. We owe you so much. So thank you. All right, the title of the show today is, and like I said, this one was inspired by the conversation I had with my wife earlier today. Government is not the problem. The portion of the private sector, or the portion of the private sector driven by the financial sector, is the problem. And I am going to go through that in detail after we take a look at some important videos. I see there's a caller on already at 469. 469, if you want to speak, the way we know that you want to speak is that you push the number 1. That's how we know that you want to speak. And we'll get you on when we are confident that you're not just listening, but that you want to speak. So if you want to speak, 469, hit the number 1, and we'll get an indication that you want to speak. Okay, before I get started, I want to set the premise. A lot of people don't believe in government because whenever a certain sect within this country, well, let me go ahead and take the caller, and then we'll go into this because I don't want to be stopping when I start this. So let's go ahead and get the caller. All right, 469, come on in, 469.
Hey,
469, you're
Alberto,
on.
this is Charlie. Finally called in. Hi, Alberto, this is Charlie.
Hey Charlie, how you doing? Talk
Can
to
you
me.
hear me? Yeah, sorry. It's been a while since I called in. Just wanted to give people good news. There is some good news out there. Biggest one being that there's a lot of community out there and a lot of people helping people. Um, and I hope that folds into your about good government. That good government comes from good people and communities working together.
Well, Charlie, as you know, what is government? We the people. So we are going to cover a whole lot of that when we
Absolutely.
get started. So you're absolutely right. Go on, my friend.
The other thing I'd like to do is there is so much great humor out there, and I'd just like to mention one article I just saw. Nation's dogs love whatever's going on right now. The nation's dogs are absolutely loving whatever's happening, allowing their most beloved humans to stay at home all the time. Dogs across the country are full of joy as their families are suddenly spending more time with them at home. In related news, cats have never been as pissed off as they are right now. Anyway. I throw some levity at the beginning here.
That is funny. Continue, my brother.
Okay. Okay. Keep going. Thank you very much for everything you do.
Look, I appreciate
Talk to
it.
you
Now,
later.
before you go, Charlie, I understand that you are working with
Sure.
some people in this some different organizations that are actually doing things like trying to build ventilators and that sort of thing. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, there are a lot of programs going on around the country and around the world. Um, I will send you some links, or I think I already have sent you some. But two of my favorites that are local. Number one is the Joanne's Fabrics project, and Joanne's Fabric is a store chain with sewing stuff, and they have opened all of their stores around the country to give out sewing materials so that people can actually take them home and take home the materials, sew some masks, bring them back to the store, and they will distribute them where they're needed the most. I
Excellent.
thought that was a fantastic
I think
example
that's a great
of
idea. And
kind
you
of
have
things
another
that
one
are
as well,
going
right?
on. Yes, the other one that's local, and I'll give you some other references and send it, and so you can put it on your Facebook.
Yeah, what would be a good
Locally
thing,
in
Charlie?
Houston, there's a place called Kicks. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
tell you
Well,
what, I need to get to another call, but
TXRX
I need you to do
Labs.
me a favor. Under our show on facebook.com/politics done right, why don't you throw a couple of those links in there?
You bet.
All right? Thank you, my brother.
Absolutely.
Thank you for calling in, and you have a great day,
Okay.
buddy.
Thanks for everything, too.
Bye bye.
You
Okay,
too. Thank you.
111. Come on in, 111. I think you're a Skype caller. Come on in.
Hello?
Yes, you are on.
Well, I hope y'all know a plumber because this country's going down the drain. All right, we got elderly people getting euthanized by Freemasons. We got Big Pharma putting tracking devices inside of our you-know-what. Okay, and every day Hillary Clinton's out there taking more lives than Hiroshima. Okay, but meanwhile, we got everyday Americans being monitored by the FBI, the CIA, the WNBA, you name it.
No,
Okay?
I know when you call into shows like
And
this,
meanwhile, Barack Obama, okay,
let me ask you something, okay? Most people will just
sure.
hang the phone up on you. I don't want to do that. I want to ask you a question.
Well, I
What?
appreciate that.
And,
Yeah.
and please, don't give me some sort of a tailored answer or something like that. Uh, I
Sure.
want to entertain a conversation. I assume you're an intelligent person. Where do you get your information?
I do research, sir. Find it on
Where? I'm asking you,
online.
where do you do your research? I mean, I'd love to know where you do your
Well,
research.
you don't even need to do too much research. You don't need no fancy high school diploma to figure these things out. All
Hmm.
right.
Right.
You don't need a fancy high school diploma to know that we got cell phone towers broadcasting Russian pornography.
Hmm.
Okay. Meanwhile, we got parents sending their children into transgender bathhouses.
Wow.
Okay. You don't need a
All right. Let
fancy
me
high
let me
school
let me
diploma
let
to
me
figure
tell you,
that
sir,
out.
sir. Hold on. Because I only have an hour, I can't talk to you now. But I mean, one of these days, right at the end of the show, you should call in, and when I have extra time, I would actually because I would really like to see the psychology that goes on into folks that I hear that come on to stations and say things like that. So if you would allow some time to call me near the end of the show, we can talk about this. Okay, brother?
Well, sure. Yeah, that sounds great. I just one more thing.
No, no,
Okay.
no, no,
So
no, nothing
someone needs
else.
to go
Nothing.
by
Nope,
this
nope, nothing
country.
else. I'll talk to you later.
Real quick, just one sentence.
All right. Okay, folks. Thank you guys for indulging in that. But what I get when I listen to these guys, right? A lot of folks just dismiss them as nuts. I like to understand how people's minds work. Some people you can't get to or whatever, but some people's minds are genuinely damaged. I mean, a lot of times it come from a part that something in their lives that have created that, and everybody throws them to the curb. And my thing is, as a humanist, I don't really function like that. I like to see the pathology that's going into people's minds. For the conservatives that call into my show that care so much about the fetus, but somehow don't see how public policy affects living people, I want to see how their pathology works. And a lot of times, I've sat down and really rationalized with these folks and have had change. Most of the times, humans don't have time for other humans. We need to start doing something about that. Anyway, let's get to the program, folks. Let's get to the program. Starting out, here's what we want to do. I want to play something to you to show you that the president's words mean something and can cost people's lives. I want you to listen to this.
Ali, good afternoon. It is the Zan Dam. That's the name of the ship. And right now there's 1,800 people on board that ship that are waiting to figure out how this is going to play out. All of them, the passengers anyway, quarantined inside of their rooms as testing is administered as they transfer people from one ship to another. There's a sister ship, the Rotterdam, that met them in Panama, and they're in the process right now, according to Holland America, parent company for that cruise ship, of moving healthy people after they've been tested from one ship onto the other. Now, I just spoke with a couple of passengers, Cliff and Doris Kolber, who left on March 6th. That's when they boarded in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and they were supposed to end up in Chile, Santiago, Chile, 2 weeks later. And of course, this whole thing erupted since then. What they told me when I spoke with them on the phone was that on March the 4th, the governor of the state, Ron DeSantis, said to Floridians, "You're at low risk. Continue living your lives. Don't disrupt what you're doing." They said that then 2 days later on March 6th, President Trump issued a statement to America saying that this was all going to be under control. They felt that that was strong enough to continue with their plans. They got on the ship, and here they find themselves today. In terms of the number of people that are potentially affected, Ali, we know there's roughly 53 passengers and 80 some odd crew members who have all exhibited some sort of symptoms that have gone to the infirmary on this ship. And the question now becomes, as they try to test as many people as possible throughout this process, how are they going to get the passengers back to Florida? It's supposed to come through the Panama Canal if they can get permission, and then dock in Broward County, which is about 30 or 40 minutes from where we are here in Miami. But the government in Broward County has not signed off on that yet. So you have all of these passengers, Ali, who are wondering what their fate is going to be. And the local government officials right now cannot agree on a plan of action. 4 people have died, as you said, and who knows how many that might be, where that number might rise as the days proceed. A very scary situation.
So as you can see, it is quite evident that people, probably older folk, decided that they wanted to. I mean, they knew they had this trip planned, but things are going on, so they're listening to what their leaders have to tell them. And their leader told them, folks, if you're just joining us, please remember to share these programs. And their leader told them it is okay for you to go and visit or do plan. You're at low risk. Do as you please. And that's what they were told. And they did it. And what happened? Now they're stuck on a ship where 4 people have died with the coronavirus. And at the same time, they are looking for a port to dock. Because even the folks in Florida, remember, these ships are not necessarily flagged in the United States. Where are they going to go? If Florida thinks that they're going to be a hindrance to them, Florida may just say, find another port. Kind of bring back what occurred during World War II, right? Anyhow, let's get the program started with what we want to talk about. Government is not the problem. The portion of the private sector driven by the financial sector is. We have bought into the lie that the government is the problem. It is good. It is a good boogeyman. But understand what you mean, because it is that confusion the plutocracy wants. Government is not the problem because you are not the problem. It is important that there are many forces in our country. You need to know there are many forces in our country whose intent is to keep most doubting their own abilities. They want you to question your worth. And in doing so, you sit back and you wait for someone else to determine what is to be placed upon you. They want you to sit back and say, oh my God, what are they going to do for me now? So everybody's been waiting on this stimulus bill. And now it's going to turn out that every American adult's going to get $1,200 and every child $500. And, okay, that's what they decided to give you. I think that adds up to somewhere around $250 billion when it's all said and done. Great, right? It passed. It's official, folks. So your $1,200 is in the mail, or will be in the mail, or in your account. You sit down and you ask yourself, okay, we got $250 billion for Americans to get, to be able to spend. And then corporations get the rest. It's a $2.2 trillion bill. They have another 200 and something billion dollars in unemployment insurance, right? But the vast majority of all this money went somewhere else, because we sit down and we wait to see what is the government going to do for us. And when we talk about, government is the problem. No, you see, the government has always had the ears of those who provide the necessities to vote them in. Right now, it's the corporations. But anyhow, so what I try to point out to people is that whenever you start thinking about believing that the government is somehow your problem, I want to start by making the financial sector the boogeyman that it needs to be. And how am I going to accomplish that? I want to first let you listen to something from CNBC. When Bill Ackman called into MSNBC, right? And when he called into MSNBC, I want to explain, after I play this video, I want to explain exactly what was occurring here. This is almost oblivious to everybody. To most people, this is oblivious, right? Because most people don't know about the capital markets and that sort of thing. So check this out, and then we'll move on from there.
Bill, I thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Scott.
Number of ideas you put forth. I'm going to read one of them for our viewers to start. Mr. President, the only answer is to shut down the country for the next 30 days and close the borders, you say. Tell all Americans that you are putting us on an extended spring break at home with family, keeping only essential services open. The government pays wages until we reopen. I know from our conversations that you have been worried for some time. How did it manifest today with these tweets and going public?
Beginning in, late January, I was getting increasingly bearish, and I woke up with a nightmare. And my nightmare was you have this virus that replicates and infects incredibly rapidly. Each person infects 2.5 people, each of whom infect 2.5 people. One becomes two becomes four, four becomes 6. 80% occupied to 0. Okay, you're toast. You go down to 50%, you're toast, but you're certainly toast when you go to 0. So he defaults. But now, take a look at Hilton stock. We're a major shareholder of Hilton. Hilton is the canary in the coal mine. This is an incredibly well-capitalized, amazing, dominant global company that actually doesn't own many hotels. It's down from like 120 to 50. Okay, it's going to 0. Okay, along with every other hotel company in the world. Park hotels.
Hang on just 1 second. You say Hilton is going to zero? I mean...
Oh, no, again, I'm a major shareholder. What I'm saying is, if we allow this to continue the way we allow it to continue, okay, every hotel company in the world, okay, is done, okay, because no business can survive a period of 18 months without revenue, okay, and that's, stick with me, and that's what happens, okay, if you operate the way we're operating now, okay. Now, let me give you, so that's a very, very bearish thought, okay, and I've been super bearish. But I got bullish, okay? And the reason why I got bullish, and I've been aggressively buying stocks, including Hilton, today, okay? And I've been buying all the way down, Hilton, restaurant brands, Starbucks, walk your way through the only stocks I'm not buying are companies who are on the board and I'm restricted. But the reason why is the only answer for the world is to shut the world for 30 days. We're done, okay? And what will happen is, the hotel industry and the restaurant industry will go bankrupt first. Boeing is, on the brink, okay? Boeing will not survive without a government bailout, okay? So look at airline industry, auto industry, restaurant industry, hotel industry. Capitalism does not work in an 18-month shutdown. Capitalism can work in a 30-day shutdown. And we got to do the 30-day shutdown. And if the president has to bring out the National Guard to keep people in their homes, which I don't think he will need to do, he should do it.
I want to take the last part first. Capitalism doesn't work in a 18-month shutdown. First of all, in effect, he's saying capitalism doesn't work. In effect, he's saying capitalism needs government socialism to survive. Think about that. Think about all the things that he said. He said Boeing cannot survive this without a bailout. He also says, he gave all this type of information that none of these companies can survive without government. And who is government again? We the people. None of them will survive. And he has come to the part where he said, let's use the military. If people do not do that thing that is necessary to save capitalism, stay your butt homes for 30 days so this can resolve, because capitalism cannot work if for 30 days things doesn't happen, it dies. Wow. Maybe let's go ahead and stay home 2 months, 60 days. Okay. But here's the part that I want to let you guys understand how the stock market works, how the financial sector works. Okay? This is so important. This is so important. Check out what he said. By the way, this guy owns a lot of hotel stocks. The market is going down. He has a lot of weight. His words have a lot of weight because of the massive portfolio that he carries. He goes on national TV where a lot of people listen, including the ones that don't know very much as well, are listening to this guy. Okay? And what does he do? He goes ahead and he starts to say, oh my God. Okay, great. Our network just went down at 325, almost the same time that it went down yesterday. Almost the same time that it went down yesterday. Anyhow, I'll continue with the show, and then later on you'll see the show again. But anyhow, so what has happened? The next thing that he does is he goes ahead and he tells people something very important. He tells them, hey guys, I am buying up a whole lot because Hilton is going to go to zero and all these hotels are going to go to zero. I am going to buy a whole lot of these stocks. And as I buy all these stocks, he's encouraging other people to buy these stocks as well, because this is a portfolio manager that was bearish, and then he started to get inflated. He started to get a little positive, but he still wants the government to do what they need to do, and he's feeling like he may have control over the government, so they may buy a hotel and put in their name on it. So all they're out for is no capital, no nothing, just a brand name. And he mentions that. So that is why in the case of Hilton, that can be so profitable. So these are all the machinations that go on in the financial sector. But for these constructs to occur, for these things to be legal, because remember, if if I were to tell you that I could go on the telephone and do something that affects the market, if I can do something that affects the market in such a manner that I take all the money that you have lost, technically speaking, that is theft. That is like me going into your house and taking something that you own. Because if I have a 401k here and I am here making noise on a TV network that I am certain will bring the stock price down on stocks that I have shorted, what's then going to happen? Their stock is going to fall and my short is going to increase in value. So I have drained their portfolio and enhanced my portfolio. It's legal. Why is it legal? Because government makes it legal. And what are the implications of these things? The implications of these things are the average American citizen gets poorer as those people who have the wherewithal to work with these financial constructs can. That we have made legal. And in making that legal, we have bifurcated what we have. And it looks now like government is bad, or other things that they do. These guys convince government to lower taxes. Now we have all these very low taxes, which means people now blame government for a DMZ, a Department of Public Safety that doesn't get run well. They blame government for the taxes taking a longer time to get to, your tax return from getting to you. If you starve the government of the resources it needs to operate, what's going to happen? It's going to operate poorly. And that is what these people are into, making sure government operates poorly. That is the game. So again, to the title of the show, which is Government is Not the Problem. The portion of the private sector driven by the financial sector is. How so? More can I state that? If we continue to see, as we're seeing right now, that as government passes laws, the laws are insufficient for the poor and the middle class, but always sufficient for the corporations. Again, what did Ackman say? Ackman said, Boeing will not survive without a bailout. The hotel industry will not survive without a bailout. In other words, these corporations are now admitting that they cannot do it without government. So government has to further inflate them. Government has to create resources for them. When we do that for the individual, you know what it's called? They like to call that socialism. When we are doing that for the individual, at that point they call it socialism. But when we're doing it for the corporation, it is no longer socialism. It is somehow the new form of what we call crony capitalism. So henceforth, I don't want to just come out with what we're talking about and not saying what is the solution. The solution is quite simple. There's another article I need to bring up, but with our internet down, I have to bring it out of my head. I can't pull that up at this point in time. But here is the deal. What we're looking at, folks, is as follows. Currently, we sit back, most of us do, and we wait to see what is government going to do. What is government going to do to make life better for us? And we leave that for a few to decide on, right? And when I say a few, I'm not talking about activists. I'm talking about the guys who are donating to the politicians, the ones who have the politicians under their thumb. So what is the solution? The most important solution, the first solution to this problem, is for us to first have self-worth. I know that sounds like I'm just pulling this stuff out of the air, but self-worth is the first thing that we have to believe in. We have to believe that we are worthy. We must believe that we are worthy of having control of our own government. You see, what they do right now is the idea is for you to look back and say government's going to do what it wants to do. We don't have any control. They're not going to do what we want them to do. And that is so far from the truth. Because still in this country, you decide who to elect, who ultimately controls government. But it takes effort. It means talking to those who are indoctrinated in your family. You know, a lot of people, I remember after the election, right, when Hillary didn't win and Donald Trump got one, a lot of people were very mad at those folks who had voted for Obama and not come out to vote at all. And that is where their ire was left for. And I sat down and I wondered, why was the ire for the non-voter as those who went out there and voted for the incompetent child that we have as president. The ire should be there because you know what? I have relatives that are Trumpists, and I tell them my mind, and I make sure to address them. But what I found with a whole lot of my friends, right, in my locale and otherwise, is that they decide, you know what? I am not going to hold my ire for those right-wingers, including those that are my family, those that I am close to. They hold on to that for others. And that is what we have to get around. We have to reach the point where we take responsibility not only for ourselves, where we take responsibility for making the democracy work, for informing, for helping others. Those of you who are watching this, those of you who are listening to this, those of you who are doing this right now, okay? You are part of our solution. Progressive program. When it comes to progressive programs out there, what we're going to have to do is we are going to have to come to the realization that we're not alone. We're going to have to start sharing progressive values across the board. We're going to have to start ensuring that we start framing the debate. We're going to have to, and let me give you a concrete example. You're watching Politics Done Right now. You trust in what I am saying right now. And you're consuming what I'm saying right now. At this point in time then, does it not behoove us to share this with others? Tell them, hey, check this out. Because if you listen to this, you would see the worth. First of all, you'll get that self-worth, that get somebody letting you realize that, yes, we have self-worth, and yes, we can have control of our government because we still have the vote. You have to share these things with others. You cannot be quiet about it. You cannot listen to somebody in the grocery store say, I don't believe, say something silly. Oh, Donald Trump is the best president because right now he's the sole person that is making sure that corona doesn't spread. If you hear that with somebody in the grocery store, are you going to just smile and let that pass? Or are you going to say, ma'am, I don't mean to be rude, but Donald Trump knew about the coronavirus from the CIA back in December. We had our first case in January, and he said in 14 days that the 15 cases that were determined by then would be gone. And so please do a little bit of, I can give you some resources just to show you. It's not that I don't like the president or whatever, but remember, he didn't do what was right. He didn't do it right. I mean, we have to be at the point where we can say these things. We also have to support. We also have to support all these progressive programs, progressive sites that are trying to get the message out. Why? We don't have the platforms. We don't have the airwaves that others have. Well, I get a chance to go on KPFT once a week, but we don't have that massive airwave that these guys have to deal with. So we need you. And in that light, I want to encourage all of you to also contribute to Politics Done Right. There are several ways. Store.politicsdoneright.com. Again, that is store.politicsdoneright.com. Please support us. Please let it be known. Keep us ahead of the game. Keep us doing the things that we need to do to make sure that we get the message out. You can also become a member. In other words, become a subscriber, become a patron, what we call a patron, to programs like this. You can go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. That is patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Alternatively, you can support our equipment fund by going to our gofundme.com/independent-media-upgrade. Again, that is gofundme.com/independent-media-upgrade. Or you can contribute at our PayPal, which is paypal.me/politicsdoneright. Again, that is paypal.me/politicsdoneright. Of course, again, please remember, visit our store.politicsdoneright.com. I'm going to be getting close to the end of the show right now. We're going to close her up about 15 minutes early, given that we are having some technical difficulties with the internet, and some of the things that we were supposed to be showing were in fact on the internet. So we're going to close her a little bit early, and what we may do later on is, I don't know, maybe we'll have a 15-minute show a bit later. But in the interim, I want to tell you guys, we the people, that's the government, we the people. Government is not the problem. The portion of the private sector driven by the financial sector is the problem. We have to understand that we are constantly being played. I wrote a note to my friend, to a friend earlier today, after I realized that guy Bill Ackman made $2 billion. And I wanted to kind of make that a prescient message, right? And what I told her then was simple. I said, I so wish I could get Americans to understand how they are played. I spoke to you about this dude, Bill Ackman. Yes, he made $2.7 billion after helping the market tank, betting against it. It is legal. Some may say that now no one got hurt, but all the retirement funds all the losses in the retirement fund is currently in his pocket. That is the game. He created nothing, designed nothing, used no sophisticated intellect, just basic arithmetic. But he was chosen to be a part of the market boys, the capitalist boys. That is the definition of capitalism. Not free enterprise, which is what we believe in. We believe in free enterprise with a strong social safety net. Capitalism says that I'll take you for whatever it's worth. The market will bear. Whatever the market will bear. And we only have a fiduciary responsibility, not to society, not to our workers, not to our customers. Our sole fiduciary responsibility is to the shareholder. Folks, I want you to understand that. I need you to understand that. And the only way we are going to be able to mitigate what our current economic system has done to us is for us to actually engage in government. Not engage in the private sector. I'm not talking about those guys, those of you who own your business, those of you who have a restaurant or whatever. You got to keep doing that because that's free enterprise. But the only way we are going to mitigate the realities of what's occurring in our economy today is for us to play an active part in government. We must be our government that the government was designed to be. Every representative in Congress is a piece of us. Every senator in Congress is a piece of us. Let's not just make them a piece of corporations. Let's not make them a piece of the wealthy. They are a piece of us. And there are more of us than there are corporations and the wealthy combined by several factors. It is important. It is necessary. We have got to do it, folks. We have got to be exactly what we said government was. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union. And that perfect union starts with each and every one of us. Don't forget it. That union starts with each and every one of us. So don't buy into the lie. Don't sell yourself short. Just know the problem is not government. The problem is the people who run government, and it is our responsibility to take those who run government incorrectly, remove them, and put those in there who will do the job right. And there are thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people ready to do that job. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!